Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to anti-haul number 16. I can't believe I've been doing anti-hauls this long, but I am very excited to get into it. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I make lots of content around tarot and divination and magic and all that kind of good stuff here. If that sort of thing is up your alley, definitely stick around and hit the subscribe button. Today I'm going to be doing an anti-haul, which is basically to say I'm going to be talking about decks that I am not keeping and decks that I am not going to buy or pre-order or back. And this time I'm going to be talking about all the decks that I am anti-hauling all in one category. So I typically will cover mass market, independent, and or crowdfunding, Kickstarters, that sort of thing that I have decided not to back. We're going to be starting off with decks I'm not keeping. And the first of these that I'm going to be talking about is the Prairie Majesty Oracle. This is a deck by Kara Simons and Amy Putnick Koenig. This is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful deck. So it is certainly not a judgment. I actually have a copy of the independent version of the deck. This deck reads beautifully, and I'm sure I'm going to get many a sad gasp when they see that I am not keeping this deck, but I just realized it was not getting its best use in my collection. That said, it is absolutely gorgeous and I definitely recommend it. In addition to the keyword that you get on the bottom, you also get the name of whatever plant or prairie magic kind of wild or nature-based thing that's featured on the card. In this case, it's wildfire and the keyword is burn. And then you also get a journal prompt or question up at the top. It's a highly usable deck. Don't get me wrong. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. But what I found is that I have other things in my collection that do this same job for me, and this one is going to languish, as beautiful as it is. If you want to see all of the cards, I do have a full flip through walkthrough of the deck, as well as a comparison to the mass market version of the deck, which you can now get. And I will link both of those in the description box down below for you. But I decided this one is not going to be staying, as sad as it makes me. But I'm also being very particular about my library of decks right now and trying to keep it honed down to the decks that I know I'm going to reach for regularly. Unfortunately, this is not one of them. Now, one of the things I like to do in this video is, as well as talking about the things I'm not keeping or the things I'm not going to buy, I like to share things from my own library of decks that I feel like sort of feeds that need or scratches that itch for me. And for the Prairie Majesty, one of the decks in my collection that I feel like I can reach for in the same sort of places or opportunities or times when I would normally want to reach for something like the Prairie Majesty Oracle is the illustrated bestiary. So this is what these cards look like. Now these originally came out in beautiful book and deck sets, but the cards were not very great cardstock. And then I think in some of these, in some of this series, they then later came along with a set that had a nicer cards that I think were gilded. These I've actually edged myself. So there's the herbiary, the bestiary, and the crystallary, and I edged this one in blue. This is a really wonderful, vibrantly colored animal deck with some key phrases or keywords on the cards, and I just really resonate with this particular type of artwork just a lot more. And again, it's just a personal taste kind of thing we're talking about right now, and in particular, I try to be very honed in my library of decks from having too many of the same sort of thing, and I have a fair amount of decks that feature animals, and this one is definitely something that I'm reaching for a little bit more. So I wanted to sort of focus in on this one, and that is why this one sort of scratches the itch. The next deck that I decided not to keep is the Empathic Oracle. Now, a lot of people said great things about this deck. This was definitely an impulse purchase for me. I had a store credit, and I picked this one up, but it just fell completely flat. I think with this one, it's a combination of the fact that the artwork is just not quite my style, and I don't know. I tried with this one. I really, really did, but I really shouldn't have bought it, to be completely honest. It just feels a little too all over the place. It's not honed in for what I want for a deck like this that helps me kind of key into, I feel like, natural or empathic energies. I was trying to think of what I have in my own collection that kind of does this job for me because I knew I had to have something. And what I realized is I have a really, really wonderful sort of all-purpose almost kind of deck that does a really good job of this kind of thing. And it's my When My Soul Whispered Oracle. This is by Melissa Salvaggio. This deck. So it's currently available in the mass market. My copy is one of the original independent copies, so mine has a different backing, but this is beautiful. There is really gorgeous artwork. I feel like the keywords get me right into that space, that sort of gentle, nurturing space, but also there's some beautiful tie-ins to the chakras in these cards, which is an energy that I really enjoy working with, or a system rather, I really enjoy working with. And so this ends up being an incredibly usable and versatile deck for me in my library, and I just really wanted to focus in on something, again, that I know I'm going to reach for more frequently. One of the things that I try to do with having as many decks and reviewing as many decks as I do is I try to keep things focused in on my favorite things, like the things that I will reach for again and again and again. And at the risk of sounding repetitive, this is definitely one that fit that bill for me. Okay, the next one was actually purchased in the same shopping trip that I got the Empathic Oracle, and this one is also not staying. These are the chakra cards for belief change. Now, if you are new to my channel, you might not know this, but people who have been watching me for a little bit do know that I'm incredibly, I mean, insanely picky about anything that has to do with the chakra system. I have very strong feelings about it, and one of the reasons that I got excited about this deck, despite the fact that the way this deck is set up doesn't really work for me, is that the keywords that are assigned to each chakra really do. So with this deck, you get essentially the same artwork. You get one card that talks about the chakra itself, and then you get this like sort of basic image, and it is the same for every card within the root chakra, and each one has a different keyword, and then also on the back you get messages. And I gave this one a try. I really truly did. And I can't. It's just, it doesn't excite me to use it. It doesn't excite me to reach for it. I knew that I was taking a bit of a chance on this one, but it just didn't work out. So I went back to the drawing board and actually ended up finding a different deck. This one is also new to my library of decks, but this one works a lot better. This is the Infinite Wisdom of the Chakras deck. This one is by Alison Denicola, and the art is by Dira Lawrence. This is really beautiful. It doesn't have enough cards for me, and it's still not quite perfect, but it's much better. So this one similarly does have a single card for each of the chakras. So you have a root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown card. And then you also have around 5, I think it is, cards for each chakra, and the artwork is absolutely beautiful, and it has wonderful keywords and also a little message on each card. Really beautiful. So those are some of the root chakra cards. There's a solar plexus card. There's a third eye card, and they're really beautiful. This is what the backings look like. Really gorgeous deck, really nice find, and I feel like this one, as far as having a larger form factor chakra deck, is going to work a lot better for me. So this is the one that I'm deciding to lean into for the moment. When it comes to chakra decks, y'all, one of these days, I'm going to have the perfect chakra deck because I'm probably going to make it. But until that happens, I am still sort of trying to mix and match among what I can find to find one that's really workable for me. And this one comes pretty close. Still not nearly enough cards, but we're getting closer. So the next one is a bit of a twist on a recent this or that video. So I do these videos on the channel where I do a declutter. I'll sort of compare something that I have to something else that I have and kind of decide which I will keep, especially if I have multiple things in the same sort of category. And I had decided to keep this deck in a this or that. It's the Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron-Reid. But part of the reason that I had decided to keep it is because it was up against the the Enchanted Map Oracle, which was actually my first Colette Baron-Reid and Jenna de la Grataglia Oracle. This is a trimmed copy of the Wisdom of the Oracle. But the reason this one ended up staying while the Enchanted Map ended up going was because I had the new version of the Enchanted Map, having traded my original version. And that was a major regret because the new Hay House cardstock and just the way that the Enchanted Map was set up in the new version, I just didn't like it. And then I was at my local metaphysical store, Reflections, which, by the way, if you're in Canada or you are in the greater Vancouver area, check out Reflections books. They're in Coquitlam in BC, and they are incredible. They have a wonderful deck selection, and the owner is amazing. I'll probably talk about them continuously because they are very near where I live, and I really enjoy going there. But they had a small used section, and I managed to find an original version of the first format of the Enchanted Map Oracle. So Wisdom of the Oracle is going to go because I have the original Enchanted Map back in my collection. This one is untrimmed. I don't know if I'll trim it this time around because I'm just so excited to have this back in its original format. So this was even the original OG bag I had for the Enchanted Map, so it's going right back in there. And this is what the cards look like originally. The newer version has changed some of the artwork, and I do like some of the artwork changes, but they changed these little title areas to be blue, and the board and the back is like a bright blue, and it just doesn't have the same sort of parchmenty touch that I loved about this original version. I really missed this version, so getting this one back, and also the cardstock, in my opinion, Hay House's older glossy cardstock is far superior to their current matte cardstock, unfortunately. But I really liked this cardstock. This is a much more usable version of the deck, so I have it back, and I'm so pleased. So this one is staying, of course, because I just got it, and the Wisdom of the Oracle is going to go ahead and leave. I feel like between the two, I don't really need both of them. And the Enchanted Map is really one of the first Oracle decks of this kind of Oracle deck, or this type of Oracle deck, that I ever bonded with. And this is not going anywhere. I really just enjoy the cards quite a bit. Those are all the decks that have come in recently that I'm not keeping. Now let's talk about some decks that I'm not going to buy. So I'm going to just change my setup here so that I can pop up some photos. Okay, hopefully this works and there's room over here to put a photo of things as I'm talking about them. So the first deck that I'm not going to buy, this is a mass market deck. It's currently in pre-order status, and I did talk about it in my recent hot takes on upcoming Tarot and Oracle decks, and it is the Wild Unknown Alchemy Oracle. There's a picture of it for you. It was tempting me, I'm not gonna lie, because I have a thing for alchemy, and alchemy is a topic that completely fascinates me, and the idea of a mass market alchemical oracle is really, really exciting. But I reined myself in because at the end of the day, I did a lot of my original alchemical learning because of Robert M. Place and his book, his big beefy book, which I will try to remember to link down below. But it's incredible. I have it on my shelf back over there. But it's an incredible book, and I ended up picking up the Tarot of the Alchemical Magnum Opus. This is a really, really cool deck. So it's like a pip deck, but the major arcana all speak to, perfect, there's one right on the front. The major arcana all speak to different stages of the alchemical process. And this deck is like the only one I can think of or feel like I want to reach for when I am wanting to connect to more alchemical energy. Of course, these same energies are present in a regular tarot deck as well. So I didn't feel like I really needed a specific alchemical oracle. And I feel like this one is exactly what it says it is on the box, if that makes any sense. And I find it highly usable as just a general pip deck as well. And for that reason, it has a special place in my library of decks. And this one fits the bill. I don't need to scoop up another alchemical themed deck, although it is very enticing. Every time I have picked up something from Kim Cran's recently, I've ended up, or I guess in the last couple of years, I've ended up rehoming it. The only deck that has sort of stood the test of time is her Wild Unknown Tarot, the kind of original one that she put out that really changed the face and the way we look at tarot. That one really, really stuck, and I have a great relationship with it, but every time I've tried another one of her decks, I end up rehoming it eventually. So I don't want to make the same mistake again. I've decided not to buy the Alchemical Oracle, but I am keeping my eyes on it. I'll also say that the hexagon shape, while it's fun, it does seem less practical from like a shuffling standpoint. I have another hex deck. You can shuffle them. You just hold the deck across the flats, so across the flat sides of that hexagonal shape, and then you can shuffle it. But they tend to rotate, and then they get pokey in spots, and it drives me a little nuts, if I'm being honest. The next deck I decided not to buy is the Maruka Animal and Food Tarot. This is the cutest dang thing ever in life. It was incredibly tempting. Shame on whoever first told me about this deck because it's right up my alley. Honestly, it really is. But I do have quite a number of cute sort of inner child friendly decks. So I don't need it. I don't need it. So I decided to sort of lean into what I have. And I feel like the deck that comes the closest to the vibe of that one is the Happy Tarot. I did recently repurchase this so that I could have it in the new borderless format, but the Happy Tarot is super cute. It's a little more candy than straight up food, but it's a Rider-Waite-Smith clone deck. It is absolutely adorable. I love the way the light shines in the cards, and that particular quality is something that I have a hard time saying no to whenever I see a deck that does this really well, where you get that kind of glowy effect, and it really does it well in the Happy Tarot. I love this. It's such a kind of kawaii, inner child friendly sort of style deck. I really do adore it. It's also got really cute backs. This is so cute. This is a low Scarabeo deck. It's mass market. It's readily available. The guidebook is super adorable. And I love the emotion in the cards. So I don't want to reach for this less. And if I get a deck like the Maruka Food and Animal, or Animal and Food Tarot, I will definitely reach for this one less. And that would be a darn shame. So I am going to lean into this and not buy the Maruka one. I will admit this next one, I can't promise that I won't someday cave on this. I mean, I can't make that promise about any of these decks because I've even made an entire video about decks I've caved on, because there's certainly been decks I've anti-hauled in the past that I've ended up with, that I've been gifted or sent for review or purchased in a impulse moment. And this is one I could have a weak moment about. It's called the Pastel Journey Tarot. It is so sweet and so cute. And let's be honest, I kind of desperately want it, but it's incredibly impractical in my library of decks right now because I have, again, a number of things that fit that sort of cute aesthetic. I just showed you one, but another one that I feel like sort of even slides a little closer to this deck is a recent acquisition, and it's the Witchling Academy Tarot. This deck is so dang cute. I really didn't think I was going to buy this one. In fact, I may have previously anti-hauled this one. In fact, I'm pretty sure I have. So, you know, cue me eating crow and all that kind of stuff. But this is so cute and it is so well done. It's by Pamela Chen, and it features this main character. Is mine actually shuffled yet? Nope, it's still in order. It's still in order. I did this whole journey with it. I have not even used this in a reading yet because I've had this whole experience sort of getting to know it via the guidebook, and I haven't had a chance to rotate it into regular use yet, but I'm so excited to do that. This has all of those sort of, I don't know, cute storytelling vibes. I will say it's quite a bit different than the Pastel Journey Tarot. The Pastel Journey Tarot has this sort of almost minimalist aesthetic. It's got these like sort of solid backgrounds. It's got these beautiful like gorgeous gilded edges. I just need to get over the fact that this deck is in order, and like, let's just shuffle it right now because I gotta like, what do you call that? I gotta like get past that new deck not wanting to mess it up thing. But I keep showing it in all these different videos because it just really surprised me. This one, the Witchling Academy Tarot is oh my gosh. The Witchling Academy Tarot is, it's a Llewellyn deck. It's super cute. It comes with a great guidebook, and it's got this like sort of magical academy vibe that I just love. I know I'm covering the titles. This is hard to do. But it is so dang cute. So yeah, Pastel Journey still kind of on my radar, but it's officially off my wish list because the reality is I've got so many things that I feel like I can reach for that give me that adorable, kind of kawaii, kind of adorable, kind of cute vibe. I don't really need another one. I kind of want another one, but I don't need another one, and that is the point. The next deck I was recently tempted by, and you can also see this on my recent hot takes, is the Moon Witch Tarot. Okay, so this is really cute, and I was looking at it and looking at it and looking at it, and the more that I looked at it, the more I was like, wait, I feel like there's something about this that kind of seems familiar, just a little bit, to something I have. And I was like, so I need to hold off not getting it. So yay me, I slowed myself down and thought about it, and I was like, wait a minute, this reminds me a little bit of the Gentle Tarot. And not only do I have the Gentle Tarot, which is amazing, this is by Mari in the Sky, but I also recently, well, I guess not that recently now, it's been a little bit, I backed a Kickstarter for a pocket-sized version of this deck and a bigger guidebook, which, by the way, the guidebook that comes with this deck is incredible. It's a really great little chunky guidebook, but I'm excited for more. I really have enjoyed Mari's writing, and this deck has that same kind of gentle energy. I love this card so much. This deck has a lot of that same kind of gentle energy that I'm kind of picking up on from the Moon Witch Tarot. Only the Moon Witch Tarot to me feels like it has more of it doesn't feel like it's an exact Rider-Waite-Smith clone, but it has a lot of the same exact kind of scenes in it. Whereas this one really does go its own way. Like, look at our tower here and how different that is from the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. Or the Seven of Stones, which is like the Seven of Pentacles. It does definitely deviate from, I feel like, that sort of expected imagery. And not only that, but the vibe of this deck is so gentle and lovely. Like, it literally does feel like it's holding your hand. I love that about this one. And I realized that my attraction to Moon Witch had more to do with that look. And I think that's what it was, is it was reminding me of this deck. So I have this one. I don't need the Moon Witch, so I was able to sort of talk myself out of that by reminding myself I have this, and I definitely don't want anything competing with this one in my selection of decks I have available to use. Okay, this next one feels more like a confessional than an anti-haul, and I'm not even sure completely. It doesn't even necessarily feel real that I'm where I am. So can I just preface this by saying this changes nothing about what a fangirl I am of this creator's work. But I decided not to back, for now, on Kickstarter, The Little Bug Oracle by Joanna Nelson. I'm sorry, Joanna! I think it's cute. I kind of low-key do really still want it. Like, not even all that low-key. But I'm making myself wait because I'm thinking about the ways in which I use my Mons Tarot. Sorry, let me back up. Joanna Nelson is the creator of the Mons Tarot, which is arguably my soul deck and has been from the moment I got my very first copy. I now have 3 copies of the Mons Tarot. I have the original first edition that I was gifted, which started the entire thing. And then I have this second edition, which I trimmed to be and edged in these beautiful blues. I trimmed this to be borderless, and I love this copy so much. And then I also have a travel edition, which is smaller. So basically I have my original first edition, which is like my large version. And then I have this second edition, which is like a medium. And then I have my travel edition, which is like a small. I pretty much have a Mons Tarot for every occasion. And the Little Bug Oracle, if you look in this card, see this little bug guy right here? The Little Bug Oracle is a deck of those characters who are featured heavily throughout the Mons Tarot. You'll see these like little bug creatures showing up. Of course, now I'm going to flip and not see. Yeah, see, here's a bunch of them. So these little creatures are the stars of the show in the Little Bug Oracle. So of course it is a perfect oracle to pair with the Mons Tarot. Here's why I paused, because I realized that the way that I use the Mons Tarot for myself is not in the way where I would typically pair it with an oracle deck. This is the kind of deck that I will pull out and I'll sit on my bed or in my living room or whatever, and I'll pull a few cards for myself and I'll have like a conversation with the monsters. That's sort of how I work with this deck. And I don't want necessarily anything to change that relationship or clutter it up in any way. Would I enjoy the Little Bug Oracle if I had it? Probably, and I would probably find other things to pair it with. But I'm slowing myself down because I don't know. I guess it's because I'm just really picky about my relationship with this deck, and I don't want anything changing it or changing the way that I work with it. And I feel like if I start thinking about pairings and all that kind of thing, that might just change it a little. The other thing is that I'm also aware that Joanna Nelson is working on a Mons Tarot Lenormand. I think she's literally calling it the Mons Lenormand. Pretty sure. And I'm really excited about that. I know that I'm going to want to pick that up. And that stays right with the monster characters that I've come to sort of know and love. And again, the little bugs are featured throughout this deck as I just threw that card. So it fits right into this world just beautifully. And Joanna did an incredible job on that Oracle deck. But I'm waiting. If I'm still thinking about it and still not feeling entirely sure, then once it's available more readily, like once the Kickstarter is done and she's got copies in her Etsy shop, then maybe I'll take a look at it again because it is so dang cute. But I feel a little bit like I'm betraying my love of this creator's work to not pick it up right away. And then I reminded myself, and actually several of the channel members, the Unicorn Fam, reminded me as well, because I sort of confessed in our little Unicorn Fam Facebook group, I sort of confessed that I wasn't going to be backing this. And they were all very supportive and reminded me of the stuff that I tell you guys all the time, which is that you don't have to love everything or gel with everything a creator you really respect makes. Sometimes there's just stuff you're not sure about. It's okay to also wait until after a Kickstarter if you think there's going to be copies available later. So basically, I'm following my own advice. But it felt a little challenging for a second because my knee-jerk reaction was, of course I'm going to back this. And then I took a step back and I was like, well, maybe it's okay for me to wait. And that is what I'm doing. And I actually feel really, really good about that. Let me put this away. I actually feel really, really good about it, but it also feels a little bit like odd at the same time. I don't know if you've ever had that experience. If you have, let me know down below because I'd love to hear from you. But yeah, I'm just kind of waiting to see. But as always, I keep a very close eye on everything that Joanna Nelson does. I think her art style is super adorable and really, really cute. And I'm eagerly awaiting, I think, hearing this deck has come out and hearing people's experiences with it and how it works for them. So we shall see. I'm going to keep my eyes open. I'm keeping an open mind. This is one that could definitely come home with me in the future. It's just not time yet. Now that that confession is out of the way, let's talk about the next one, and it is the Trip and Wait, the Spring Bling Edition. Here's a photo. I went a little gaga over this. And you can actually see me go gaga over this in a previous hot takes that had Peggy in it with me, because it's really shiny and pretty and it definitely excited me. I was really falling for the super, super, super bright colors and the little holographic stars, and they were just, that was it. But at the end of the day, it's a Rider-Waite-Smith clone type deck. And I know myself, and I know that I really, really don't tend to reach for those kinds of decks very often. If it looks too much like the original RWS with just some changed characters or colors, it just tends to languish. It's literally the way that I am. I can't quite explain it. It's not that these decks aren't pretty, but they feel less exciting for some reason, or I equate them too much with the original RWS. I don't know, but I tend to not reach for them as much. So I talked myself off the ledge, but I was able to adequately console myself because I have a deck I love that actually has a lot of similar vibes, but does not feel exactly like a Rider-Waite-Smith clone, has a really cool perspective and really bright colors, and I love it so much, and I want more reasons to use it, not less. That is the Rainbow Heart Tarot. I freaking love this deck. It has lived on my favorites rack from the moment I've gotten it. This is what the backings look like. This is by Rachel Rosencoder. It is beautiful. It has a little bit of those same sort of 70s kind of vibes, bright, bright colors. It's still very Rider-Waite-Smith, but it's beautiful, and it isn't exactly like, here we have the Three of Pentacles, and you can tell it's going its own way. It isn't just the RWS redone, right? Like, it's very RWS based, but it is definitely doing its own thing, and I love that so much about this deck. In fact, I reach for this every chance I possibly can, it seems like, for client readings. I love it. I love this card. I really, really do enjoy it. In fact, I would reach for it even more. It's just that these cards are a little large, so I can only really use it for smaller spreads on my table and have the reading show up for my clients. So there's that. But oh my gosh, I love reading with this deck. And it does have a lot of those funky vibes that I feel like I was attracted to the Trip and Wait for. So this totally scratches the itch. I mean, hello? We have some Kabbalah references in here. We have all the good stuff. And I'm sorry, but the moon is awesome. So there's that. Love, love, love the Rainbow Heart Tarot. And you can still get it. I think I double checked shortly before I filmed this video and it was available. So it's awesome. I love it. I don't need the Trip and Wait. We're good here. These next two decks that I'm talking about are decks that seriously were hardcore tempting me during a hot takes video. I think it was April's hot takes. No, May's hot takes, I think. Recently-ish, there were these two Kickstarters, both for really gorgeous, deep, kind of shadowy oracles. The first one of these is the Earth and Bone Oracle. Oh my gosh. I mean, just look at it. It is beautiful. Love the depth, love the darkness, love the skulls and that feeling of like the bones and like being right in it. And I talked myself down because I have a couple of shadowier oracles, and I don't want to have, again, I will say this again and again. For me to have a usable library of decks, I need to not have too much overlap, because the moment there's overlap, what I do is I tend to reach for the same one or two decks over and over again, and the rest get ignored. I know this about myself, and because I know this about myself, I try not to overaccumulate in any specific category of decks or niche of decks like I like to talk about here on the channel. So I was thinking about another deck that kind of has a similar tone to this Earthbone, what did I say it's called? Earth and Bone Oracle. And I decided I would lean into instead my Seasons of the Witch Samhain Oracle. So this is a whole series that's coming out that's seasonal Sabbath-based deck. They're going to be doing all 8 Sabbats. It's Juliet Diaz and Lorianne Anderson. I had to look at the box. This deck has a lot of those kind of darker tones, darker vibes, and sort of deeper sort of focus in the deck. It's still got that kind of touch of spook that I feel like I get from the Earth and Bone Oracle when I look at it, but I already have this. And if I really need to reach for something like this, in this kind of tone or in this kind of mood, I'm going to want to reach for something I already have, because I really don't tend to lean into these darker themes for Oracle decks very often, which is one of the reasons I was like, ooh, I need to cool it on this one and definitely not get a bunch of stuff that's like this, because I already know myself, and I know when it comes to Oracle decks, I tend to reach for specifically themed decks much less than I reach for my sort of universally can use them, compare them with a lot of different decks, can use them in a lot of different seasons. I tend to reach for this kind of thing less as it is. So adding something else in this category was not going to work for me. I realized that. I took a deep breath. I didn't buy it. But man, is it beautiful. And the other one, which tempted me in a very similar way, and again, is so gorgeous, and it really looks like it would pair beautifully with the Unfolding Path Tarot, which I did back on Kickstarter a few months ago, and I think is going to be shipping soon, so I'm very excited about that. This one is called the Earth, Moon, and Shadow Oracle. Again, it's really, really beautiful. I love how intense and emotive it looks. It felt like it was going to get right into sort of shadow worky sort of topics. But you know what? I actually, not that long ago, pulled some new stuff into my collection that does that kind of work. And one of those, and one that's really been blowing my mind lately, is the Wisdom of the Shadow Oracle. I was a little late to the party on this one, I have to admit. I did not get this one when it first came out. I actually got it when these creators' second deck, the Wisdom of the Divine Feminine, came out. And oh my gosh, this deck and the Wisdom of the Divine Feminine work together in this incredibly powerful way that I still can't quite get over it. So I have a deck that can help me get into these themes. And this isn't even the only Oracle deck I have that can get into these shadowy places. I also have the Reclaim Oracle. And so I really feel like when it comes to sort of heavy hitting decks that are going to help me get into like the emotional rawness of a situation, I have now a couple that I feel like I can reach for and really have some good, meaningful work with them. And because of that, oh, that one's the Wisdom of the Divine Feminine. This is the backs of the Wisdom of the Shadow. I keep them together. Isn't that awesome? Anyway, point being, I really was able to talk myself down from impulsively backing Earth, Moon, and Shadow because I have other stuff that can do that for me. I think that of all the things that I've talked about today, the one that tempted me the most, that I almost actually pressed the buy button or back button on Kickstarter, like during a hot takes on recently, was this adorable mouse tarot. Check this out. The Mimit Mini Mice Tarot. I just had to look 3 times to get that out. It is so cute. It even comes in a mini size, and the illustration style is very storybook. It's adorable. The fact that it's mini and it's also a mouse deck, it was like triggering all of the I've got to have it vibes, and I very nearly backed it in the middle of my hot takes. And thank goodness I didn't. Not because it's not gorgeous, because it is. But I went back and looked at it again in more detail, as I often do. When I'm tempted during my hot takes, I'll often pin the tab and then I'll go look at it in more detail on my own time. Well, I did that, and I found out that that deck is based on a different system. So it's not a Rider-Waite-Smith based deck. It's based on, I believe, the Triumphi system, which is a older version of tarot, and a perfectly valid one, and one that reads, I'm sure, quite well, but it's not one I'm as familiar with. And realizing that, I realized that out of the box, this particular deck would probably not have been one I ended up reaching for, simply because I wasn't seeing what I was expecting to see in the Minor Arcana specifically. And I went back and looked at a lot of those images, and I was like, these are really, really cute, but they do go in this direction of Triumphi, and I'm less sort of familiar with that system. So I came down off the ledge. I did not back it, but man, it's so cute. It's so cute. And even Peggy was super, super tempted. She didn't know the thing about the Triumphi base either, though. And as a newer person to tarot, or somebody, she calls herself a forever noob. She knows way more than she thinks she does, but she does call herself a forever noob. She was super tempted because, of course, it was like a teeny deck, and she's a sucker for a teeny deck. Does not matter what the theme is. She's usually a sucker for a teeny deck. And this one was really cute, plus the mouse theme and it being teeny. I mean, like, she was buying into it right alongside me. But because it was Triumphi based, I think she would have struggled to get any actual use out of it at all. And I know I would have struggled a little bit simply because I wouldn't have been as familiar with those sorts of themes. So, funny thing, I think I probably would have been able to use it better if it had been a pip deck, which I know sounds counterintuitive, but I wouldn't have been getting confused by the images the same way. At least that's what I imagine. Anyways, all of this to say, though, that an adorable mini tarot has come into my life. And very soon, it could come into yours. So stay tuned, because this is a prototype that was very generously sent to me by the creator. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to show this to you. I gotta get it out of its little pouch. I'm gonna actually tease, because anybody who's been watching my channel, or especially who has ever seen one of the blog videos that Peggy and I's done, will recognize this fabric. I have a prototype of the Oak, Ash, and Thorn mini. Come on now, is this not perfect? Like, what a great thing to talk me off the ledge of that little mouse tarot. So Stephanie Burrows, who is the creator of Three Trees Tarot, has partnered, of course, with Adam Ohlers for this artwork. But the Oak, Ash, and Thorn is a incredible deck. I use this deck all throughout my Tarot with Training Wheels series, which I will link up in the cards. It is a series that is designed, wait, is it that side or that side? Whatever, it'll be up in the cards. It is a series that's designed to help you learn to read tarot, and I used this deck, well, the bigger version of this deck, all throughout. Now, I knew that Stephanie had been working on this for quite some time. She and I would chat about cardstock and other stuff as she was developing this deck, and she, I think, knocked it out of the park with this prototype. I think it's great. The original will be a little more saturated, but the size is great. The cardstock, like, quality is wonderful, and the thickness is perfect. So if you have the original Oak, Ash, and Thorn, just to show you the size difference. So that is the difference in size. So it's a little bit shorter and a little bit narrower, obviously, and it is like the perfect little travel size of this. And then cardstock wise, this one is a little thicker. So this is a 400 GSM cardstock, and it's lovely. It is coreless, but it shuffles like a dream. Mine has not done any, there's been no funny business with mine, and I have shuffled the crap out of it. This is the exact same cardstock, but it is thinner. So it's a 350 GSM. I think she experimented with as thin as 300, but it was too thin. This is perfect. It's a little bit chunky, but oh my gosh, wait till you see. I'm going to just do a bridge. Okay, see, make sure I'm in focus. The thing about mini decks is that if they're too stiff, if the cardstock is too thick, the fact that they're smaller can make them really hard to shuffle. If she'd have produced this little mini in the same cardstock as the big one, it would have been hard to shuffle. But I will say her original cardstock is a dream to shuffle in spite of the fact that it's 400 GSM. Like other types of cardstock, this would feel pretty meaty to try to shuffle too. But despite being thick, it shuffles beautifully. This one though, this one is just like that extra little bit bendy. It is something to behold. It is so easy to shuffle, so lovely. Okay, I'm going to stop gushing. I'm a cardstock snob. I'm a cardstock nerd. This is why Stephanie and I were chatting about cardstock, because I just can't shut up about it. And at least I can put this nerdy power to like good use. But anyway, she sent it to me to get my feedback on the cardstock, which is lovely. Again, the artwork is identical. Can we talk about the most adorable hermit of life in this deck, by the way? It's this one. I know I'm supposed to be doing an anti-haul. I'm a little distracted by how freaking cute this is. Anyway, this is just a prototype. The colors, I don't know if I mentioned it, the colors are slightly toned down in this prototype version, but this is going to be available to purchase. She's going to be doing some kind of a pre-order. If you're not already on her email list for Three Trees Tarot, then I will have a link to that down below so you can sign up, and then you can get notified when this becomes available to either pre-order or purchase. I don't know if she's going to do like a pre-order period or what the situation is, but I will have that down below so you can check it out yourself. Seriously, this is so cute. And of course, because it's a mini, and it's not that mini of a mini, but because it's a mini, it will definitely be a little more affordable than the original full size. So look. And I'm excited because this size deck is perfect for bigger spreads for my clients. So I'm so excited. And of course, Peggy still had a little bit of the tantrum fabric left. Now, if you don't know why I call it the tantrum fabric, it's because she ran out. I didn't have a bag yet. And I literally had an entire tantrum and we had to go hunt down the fabric. There's a whole blog about it. No, not blog, vlog about it on our vlog channel, which we do just for fun. And we very occasionally update. But yeah, so it got nicknamed tantrum fabric. So anyway, she had just a little bit left and I was able to get, actually I made this. I forgot. I actually made my own little pouch for this deck and I was so proud of myself. I had to make it myself. Well, I didn't have to. I suppose she could have made it for me, but she's been very busy. But I wanted it in a custom size and she can't really do that. She just doesn't have the time. So I basically measured all the things and figured out how to custom fit it to my deck and made it myself. Because even the wife has to do that. She's so busy. We're so grateful, but she's a very busy girl. So yes, I made my own little custom pouch for it. So I have my standard size in a drawstring in the tantrum fabric that hangs on my wall, which I love. So this is my original and this is my mini and look, it's so cute. So anyways, I feel like I totally derailed. Oh yeah, the mouse one. This is how come. I felt way better about not having backed the Mimit Mini Mice Tarot because this deck has all those same sort of storybook vibes, right? It has all those same sort of like what else can I call it besides storybook vibes? You know, like you're literally, it literally feels like you're looking through like a children's story, and there's just really beautiful illustrations. And I love it. I love it. I also love that Stephanie is incredibly environmentally conscious. She's really aware of carbon footprint, and she's really aware of using eco-friendly materials and inks and all that kind of stuff. So she works with a local printer. I just think that's really great. And I think she's so conscious and thoughtful about what she does. And I'm just really proud that I get to work with her stuff, because I think she does an amazing job. And of course, Adam's artwork is incredible. So big fan, pardon the gushing, but I'm very excited to have the little mini in my hands, because now I can use it for my Celtic cross spreads and my other bigger spreads, which is so fun. So that, my friends, wraps up this anti-haul. I have been tempted by a great many things lately. It's always interesting to see, after doing my hot takes video, which is all the new stuff coming out, sort of what's left that's still tempting me. And then this video gives me an opportunity to kind of further refine and be picky and like make sure that I don't make impulsive purchases some of the time. I mean, I still do that, right? Like I still definitely do. In fact, some of the things that I am not keeping, such as this one and this one, were totally impulse purchases. And look how well that worked out for me. Not well. So it always works out a lot better when I take the time to really think about what I am using, why I'm using it, what I'm looking for. In reality, you guys have seen here on the channel, I have deck upon deck upon deck upon deck. I have many a deck. There's nothing out there truly that I would say that I'm going to get myself in trouble with Peggy if I say that. She's going to use this against me forever. But I'm like, is there anything I truly need? No. I mean, as it is, tarot is, in effect, a luxury product, right? Especially having more than just one or two to do readings with. Because, of course, the rest is just a plethora of variety, which I adore. I adore having a variety. It's no different to me than having a variety of books to read or music to listen to. It's the same thing. I love working with a variety of decks. But I love it so much, and I want to appreciate the things I have so much, that I don't want to acquire a whole bunch of extra stuff that makes me feel overwhelmed or makes me feel like I can't appreciate what I do have. I try to stay away from the whole grass is always greener mentality, where I always think there's going to be something better that's going to like knock my socks off. Instead, I try to mindfully bring in only those things that I feel like are going to really expand my knowledge of the tarot, or the way that I work with the cards, or show me a different path, or somehow add to rather than compete with what I have already. And so that's the reason for all the mindfulness. That's why I love making anti-hauls and hot takes videos. And that's why I do this or that declutters, because I'm constantly refining and curating this like perfect for me selection library. Again, that word I'm trying to get used to using. It's just training my brain. But I'm trying to really curate that library of decks that feels truly useful to me and not cluttery. I don't want it to feel like I just have too much stuff. I want it to feel like useful tools. And that's what I'm constantly trying to do, is get it really pinned down and figured out. So that is the reason I make these videos and why I make content like this. And I hope that in the process of sharing all of this with you, that it somehow helps you to also realize that you can also be mindful, and you can also be picky, and you maybe don't have to say yes to everything, as tempting as it is. There's a lot of content here on YouTube that's going to tell you about the next best thing. I love to make content like that too. I love it so much, truly. But I also think it's really, really useful to have content that reminds you can take a step back and slow down and not be in a hurry or not be first in line, and that that's okay too. And I know that I'm going to get tons of comments below this video about how all the things I'm not going to buy, many of you are very excited about and can't wait to buy, maybe even because of this video, and that's okay too. But I just want to create some balanced content where we can talk about it from many angles, and this is one of the angles I like to talk about it from. So I hope this has been helpful. As always, if it has been useful, if you've gotten value or if you've been entertained, click the like button, subscribe for more content just like this. I do lots of fun creative series around the topic of tarot and oracle decks here on the channel, educational stuff as well as review type content. So if you really like that or you're into that, definitely subscribe. Click the bell to be notified of my future videos and live streams. As always, thank you so much for putting your eyeballs here on this space. I really and truly appreciate you. An extra big thank you to all of my Unicorn fam members. They are the channel members that help support the work that I do here, and you guys are incredible. I love you all so much. Thank you. As always, may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye, guys.